What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy K-Briz back at it again with another video. But this time we're gonna do it a little different. So I'm gonna give you the results of the games that happened tonight, and then I'm gonna give you my previews of the next game that's coming up for the Sweet 16. So we're gonna start with Loyola versus Nevada. Nevada came out guns blazing. I didn't expect that. Actually, I did, because I said it was gonna be a close game. So it was up by 9, but Loyola came back storming. The power of Sisterjean lives again, because they went up by 4 at halftime when they was down by 9, and then they was up by as much as 12. But like I said, Nevada came back. Like they say, like I told you, pass the sticks yesterday. They weren't having it today, so they did pass the sticks, but they made it very close. And at the end, Loyola ended up winning by 1. So it didn't come down to a last shot like I thought it would, but it was very close. Okay, second game really surprised me. So Texas A&M, I told you, Texas A&M zone would eat up Michigan or make them shoot bad. Boy, the opposite happened, because they was on fucking fire. Like, they were in Flago from 3-point range. They was 10 of 14 at halftime. Like, 10 of 14, that is ridiculous. And they end up 15 of 25 or 15 of 26 or something like that. But they was up by like almost 30 points by halftime. So you already know who won that game. They controlled the game with their shot selection. Even though Texas A&M had big men, they were very neutralized in this game because, like I said, Michigan came out guns blazing. That's the best they shot this whole March Madness. So again, March Madness, I can come up with predictions, but it's called March Madness for a reason. Kentucky versus the other Kansas State Wildcats. So this game, I said that Kentucky was going to destroy them. Boy, I was wrong again. I can admit I was wrong, but I love March Madness, so even if you're wrong, hey, you're right, because it's March Madness. But let me go ahead and talk about Washington. I think he was 7 of 21 from shooting free throws. Like, they shot, like, I think 40-some free throws and only made, like, 19, 20. Yeah, that's the recipe for disaster. But the boy Sneed from Kansas State was really clutch in this game. And then Brown Jr., I mean, you know, Browns, you know, we like UPS. What can we do for you? But he ended up making the game-winning layup, and Kentucky ended up falling. That was a big upset I did not see coming, because I thought Kansas State was going to get run out the gym. They was up by as many as 12, and then Kentucky came back. Washington, if you don't go to the NBA, please work on your free throws, because that's absolutely ridiculous that you missed that many free throws and y'all took an L because of it. But it was a really good game, though. It was really scrappy and stuff. You make your free throws as a team, they should win by like at least 10 to 15, like I said. My brother going to be very disappointed, but I'm going to call him in the morning, laughing at him, because he sure said that they was going to Elite 8. But, you know, that's here nor there. In the last game, Gonzaga versus Florida State. So I did say that Florida State had a lot of depth, and it showed tonight, because Gonzaga got them in a lot of foul trouble, but they played 12 deep. They played 12 deep. And it showed, because they went on a run at the end of the halftime. It was up by like 9, and they ended up winning by 15. That was a very well put together team. You're really going to have to like beat them, because that depth 12-man rotation is ridiculous. And Gonzaga had no answer for them. They was missing a lot of shots, turnovers, and everything. But you got to give it up to Florida State, because Florida State played hell of good defense. So, like I said, it's March Madness. We got Kansas State going into Elite 8 for the first time in a while. We got Loyola going into the Elite 8 for the first time ever. Don't quote me on it, but I believe that's so. But the first time ever, now you have Michigan, and then you have Florida State. So let's go ahead and get into the second half of Sweet 16 tomorrow. So Villanova versus West Virginia. This one here is going to be a matchup, a really good matchup, because you got Villanova with their guard play versus West Virginia with their guard play. Who can outlast who? So Villanova do have a lot of good defense and can shoot very well. So can West Virginia. So I think Nova's going to pull it out, but I think it's going to be a real grinded out game. A lot of good defense and just going back and forth. So I got my money on Nova this game. Texas Tech and Purdue. Now that one's going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight. Texas Tech ended up beating Florida very clutch at the end of the game, and whatchamacallit had survived Butler Purdue, and Purdue is really good. So I really don't know who's going to win this game. So I'm just going to go on a limb. I'm going to say Purdue barely pulls it out. And I think it's going to be like a last-second shot to win the game by like 2. That's my predictions for those. So the bottom half is going to be really good too. Kansas Jayhawks, the next #1 seed, is going to go up against Clemson. Clemson's been really scrappy this year, really good. The ACC been doing their thing. Like, sure, the other 5 teams, including North Carolina, us, got ousted out of the tournament. But these last 4 teams, you have Florida State, you have Clemson, you have Syracuse, and you have Duke that's still holding down the ACC. So I like Kansas to win that game because I think all of their players are going to be firing all cylinders. They have four great players, and I think 3 out of 4 played really good against the last opponent that they had, and that was a very scary game for them. So I think that game really woke them up. So I would like Kansas to win probably by, I say about 10. And Duke versus Syracuse. So Syracuse a couple years ago, the year that Nova won the championship, made it to the Final Four. I mean, they didn't look really good going into the tournament, but they all of a sudden they turned it up and did really good. That 2-3 is very effective. But I got Duke winning this game because Duke, plays in the same conference as them and played them a couple times. So that 2-3, they've seen it before. They blew them up by like 20 points. So I think Marvin Bagley is going to just have a field day on that zone. And then since Duke can shoot a lot of threes and they're pretty good at shooting them when they're on, I think the guard play and Bagley will be way too much for Syracuse. The only way I see Syracuse winning this game is if Bagley don't dominate in the post and Duke can't shoot their threes. That's the only way I see them being in this game. They're scrappy, don't get me wrong. Syracuse is very scrappy, but I highly doubt that this talented Duke team is going to let them live. They're gonna hang them pretty much. So those are my opinions on the next Sweet 16 games and my results of the last games that happened tonight. So like I said, it's March Madness. Anything can happen. Like I said, last night you got 6 games and win the championship. Well, let me take that back. It's 1, 2, 3. Okay. You have 3 more games if you made it to the Sweet 16. If you make it past Sweet 16, you only got 3 more games. So you have to rank it every night. Like I said, you have more time to prepare and scout now once you made it past the 2 rounds because, you get a lot of days in between. So shout outs to everybody that is, rocking with me so far. I appreciate the love that I've been getting on Twitter, my friends, my family. I appreciate all of it. So I'm going to keep it going with this content. And, because I love sports and I love talking about it. So hopefully y'all like, share, subscribe if you're new, comment, give me your opinions on how March Madness is going so far. What do you think about tonight's games and what do you think about tomorrow's games? Who is your big disappointment so far in the tournament? Who is your big surprise in the tournament? Loyola, for example, is the biggest one for me because, I never heard of them. Sisterjean on Twitter said that she is not a star. She says she's an international star. She's 98 years old. Shout outs to her. Good love. Sisterjean, the power of prayer. All right, y'all. I'm out. My life isn't easy. Just be breezy. And I'm out.